there my crafty friends, it's Terry from Vegas Tales Creates and I really appreciate you stopping by with me today. So today we are going to be working on creating a set of 4 simple cards, simple as in quite simple in design and hopefully quick and easy to make. And I'm going to be using these. I'm sort of starting to think ahead in terms of like Christmas gifts. And I think I've done this before. Last year I gave my friend for her birthday, I made a little box and put some note cards in there for her. And I just think it's a lovely thing to do, especially as crafters. You know, if we're card makers and we make so many cards, I don't know about you, but sometimes it's like, okay, like I want to make cards because I enjoy it. Sometimes we have to make cards for a specific purpose, but sometimes it's just like, okay, I really feel like creating cards, but what do I do with all these cards? But actually, if you think about it, if you give someone a little bunch of note cards, like with different sentiments on, then they've got a little stash then, so that then if they need a last minute sort of thank you or happy birthday or thinking of you or something card, they've got them there handy. So that's what this is going to be about today. I have cut down 4 panels of Nina Classic Crest. In the UK you can get this from Crafter's Companion. Lovely card and really nice for ink blending and stamping. So I've cut 4 panels down to 4 inches by 5 1/4, so 1/4 of an inch shorter than a standard A2 American size card, which is a card size that people often use, and it's perfect for little note cards. I've also pulled out these 4 colours of distress inks, tested them out. So we've got old paper, milled lavender, shaded lilac, and that one was Red Rose, but I decided that colour didn't go well in my mind, and sponge sugar, and I've got a couple of blending brushes. So what we're going to be doing, they're all going to have the same basic design. I'm going to be using this little terrarium pot and putting some succulents, or some of these succulents in the bottom there. So I'm going to be using this basic design and then just mixing it up a bit in terms of which little things I put in there. And it's going to be really easy because obviously I'm going to have to mask off the area before I ink blend. So the plan is, if you imagine, this is going to be like in the middle of the card. I'm going to ink blend, I'm going to put the mask on, ink blend over it in each of the 4 different colours, and then I'm going to put a different sentiment on each of the cards. So let's get about stamping. I'm also going to colour these up in alcohol markers, so I'm going to be stamp in my an alcohol marker friendly ink, which the one is my sort of go-to one is Memento Tuxedo Black. I'm going to go here, about here, and then we're going to have the sentiment underneath. Oh, that's perfect, very cute. Apologies if you can hear any noise in the background. We're having a bit of a heat wave here. Well, a bit. To us in the UK, this is very hot. So high 20s, low 30s. It's that for us in the UK, our little sensitive souls. That's very hot. Obviously, people in other parts of the world will be like, "What? That's just really common." But for us, we struggle with it, or a lot of us do. You tend to get the people that are like, "Oh great, it's summer," and other people are like, "Oh no, I'm just going to turn into a human puddle," and just find it really, really difficult to deal with. So yeah, okay, so what do I want? I think I fancy this one. That'll look nice in there, won't it? Yeah. I'm just going to show you like a complete one card, the process for that, and then show you the 4 completed cards. You don't need to be shown the same thing 4 times over. in order to understand it. So that is pretty much that for that one. What we need to do now is create a mask to go over this so that I can then ink blend round it. So I'll film that bit for you. So for anyone that hasn't done any masking before, it's a really useful little technique where you want to do some ink blending in the background, or you want something to be in the foreground. So yeah, I'll just give you a quick show of how to do that. If you already know how to do masking, you might want to just fast forward like a minute or so, but it's not going to take me long. So this masking paper I find can be quite expensive for what it is in the UK, and you tend to only get like 1 or 2 sheets in a pack. But it is really handy, and often I say you only need it for very small things, so it is a good thing to sort of invest in for your stash, I would say. And so to do that, we need to stamp our image onto the masking paper, and it doesn't have to be perfect, it's literally just so that we can cut around it. That's all it's for. So and this is going to be really easy to cut out because it's just straight lines, so I'll cut that out off camera and then come back to you in a moment when I've got the mask stuck on to do some ink blending. Okay, so I've cut out the mask, and when you're cutting out the mask you want to make sure that you cut sort of onto the black lines, because if you do, in fact I've made a mistake at the top, well I've not made a mistake but I'll show you what I mean. See, on these sides you can see the black, but you can see I've sort of cut into it, whereas on the top here I haven't. And you can see a bit of the white. Well, you don't want to see any of the white, because what that will mean is it'll leave a little line which will have been masked off, so you won't have ink on it, and that's not what you want, obviously. So I'm glad that happened, because that was an opportunity for me to show you, well, to demonstrate what I mean. I've pulled out my Wendy Vecchi Ranger Make Art Station. I love this thing. Ever since I've bought it, like, I just find it's brilliant. It's a magnetic platform with 4 super strong magnets, wipeable, and it's perfect for doing ink blending on. I just love it. So the masking paper that I use is 6 sticks to the A4 sheet. So you just get like 1 sheet in a pack. And you peel it off, and it's on like a cellophane or like a plasticky background. So if I was only going to use this once, I would then, after using it, stick it, once I've done the ink blending, I'd stick it back on there and then keep it in the pack with the stamps, because that's really handy then, and you can reuse it. But the amount of times you can reuse it does vary, and you'll know when it's lost its touch, kind of thing, when it's lost its stick, and you know. So considering I'm doing 4, I don't think it'll last beyond that, but it might surprise me. Hey ho, it might surprise me. So which colour shall we go for first? I'm thinking spun sugar. Right. So I'm going to actually start on the paper itself. Obviously with ink blending, that's, you normally sort of start off the paper, but because basically I just want like a little halo in each of the colours around our little, is it a terrarium? I think it's a terrarium. Nice little halo of colour. And then the rest of the card to be kept quite clean and simple, really. And that's been kept perfectly. Yeah, that's really lovely. So I'm going to do the exact same thing for the other cards. I'll come back and show you a bit of colouring on one of them actually, and then I'll come back with the final card. So I'll see you in a mo for a little bit of brief colouring. Okay, so I've stamped up my other cards, and I actually decided to do a set of 5 because for some reason that just seemed like a better number than 4 for me for a gift. So I stamped, they're all different. I've got this one which has got like gravel underneath, I've done one the same, and then I've done these two the same with some grass which I've actually stamped in a colour. So this I want to colour it in green with I think some pink on the edges. So I'm just looking through, this is, in case you haven't seen this before, this is a tip that I picked up from a recent Kathy Zielski video where she swatched out all of her Copic markers. So it's really handy to be able to flick through and see what colours you've got. Now straight away, that one is just jumping out at me. So YG Yellow Green 41. I think that would look lovely with that. That is a definite. And then do I want a blue green or maybe a G00? BG13 might be nice for the darker areas. Oh, no, these ones look better. BG34. Okay, so YG41 and BG34, so that's going to be a bit darker. And I might get the BG13 as well. So I'm just going to write that down, otherwise I'm going to forget. Okay, so YG41. What I'm going to try and do as well is write on the back of these cards like which colour combinations that I like together. So YG41, BG13, so light, BG13, dark, and BG23 is mid. So light, dark and mid tones, and then I want like pinky purpley edges. So if I carry on going through, V000, this one, and V12. Yeah, V000 and V12. So I'm just going to pick those out and then come back, and then we're just going to quickly colour that. Also actually I'll do a bit of colouring on here, so I'll pick out either a blue or a grey or something for that. So I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so I've pulled out the 3 initial colours that I liked for my light, mid and dark tones, and then I also pulled out a slightly darker one just in case we need any more shadow at the end. Because that's a little tip for you. I often find that sometimes when I've got my light, medium and dark that I still need a little something extra just to darken it up, and either like a darker version of the same colour family or a bit of grey in there is quite good. Oh, actually this is a good time to mention I've been thinking about doing a live stream, and you know, just so that like I can be doing something like this and then interact with you live, and you can like craft along with me. So, and I know a lot of you really like my colouring, so I put a post on Instagram about a week ago asking if people would be interested, and quite a few people said that they would. So again, if you would be interested in something like that, can you let me know in the comments below, and I'll try and get something scheduled in, and that way, you know, if you want to pick up some tips on colouring with alcohol markers, because I think that would be the first topic that I would do, then you know, it would just be a setup like this. So I would be colouring away, and then I'm thinking I would have my laptop there, and then I could see the comments coming through and then answer you and interact with you in real time. So I just think that would be really fun. a nice thing to do. And like I say, a lot of people do say, oh, I really do love you colouring, so I'd be more than happy to do that. And I think it'd just be really fun. So yeah, just let me know. And also any other ideas that you think that you might have for what might be good for a live stream, then just let me know. So I've gone in all over with my lightest colour, as I always do. And then I'm going in now with the darkest colour, the bits where I think are going to be darker. And then I shall go in with my mid-tone and blend that out. And then I forgot that I was going to add in my colours, didn't I? So I am going to go in. I forgot I was going to have my pink on the end. Let's see how this works. Okay, yeah, that's working. You can see that. And it doesn't have to be the same on every one of them, because I think each, you know, they're plants, aren't they? That's one of the wonderful things about plants, that they're so varied. And there's no right or wrong answer, like, you know, especially, well, in crafting, and especially when you're colouring florals or you know, foliage of some description, because, you know, it's imaginary, and B, you know, it's your art, and it's whatever you think looks nice to you, and that's ultimately all it is. Okay, so that's still my lightest colour. My mid is this one. No, not my darkest one, don't I? Follow your own advice, Tez. And then my mid. See, I've gone over the edge there a little bit. That's no problem, because I will use my colourless blender to tidy that up. Some of the caps don't want to stay on sometimes, I've noticed, with these Copic chows. Yeah, that's one of them. Don't fight it, it's fine. So because this leaf is coming over in front of this one, that it's going to be darker up the side. Just think of like what objects or what part of the image is in shadow, you know, which parts are going to be the lightest bits. So I think like this bit's going to be quite light because of the way it curves like that. Anything that curves like that is tends to be quite light. And then this leaf is sort of at the back, it's behind this one, so this one's going to be darker. So I'm going to go in straight away with the darkest colour with this one. And this is where I might add in the darker colour that I've chosen just in case I need it. See what I mean? Right. It's just really because you want a nice contrast. You want a nice contrast and a nice smooth blend. That's what you're aiming for with alcohol markers. Yeah, already you can see that there's just more depth. It looks more realistic when you add in the darker colour. My hand's getting quite full. I have a habit of doing this, guys. I sort of hold them all in my hand. It works for me, you know. It's whatever works. I think I needed to blend those out, but it seems to have blended out on its own. That's okay. Right, so that's the darkest colour. So again, this is going to be darker, and we'll use our darkest one, which is in Copic language. It's got more grey in it. Oops, drawing on myself. It's because I like to have them all in my hand. And let's go with the darker pink with this one. And this one at the back here is going to be very dark, so let's just have a little bit of light pink on the edge of there. And there we go, that's our little plant coloured. Got any areas that don't look quite right to you, just go back over them. I tend to find going over with the lightest colour tends to even things out and get it more looking the way you want it to. You do tend to have to layer with alcohol markers, which is grand. So I'm going to put the tops back on all of these because they were very expensive and I don't want them to dry out. I picked a couple of blues for colouring the terrarium, so I'm just going to bring in some colour. So I've chosen BG000, which is pale aqua, and BG10, which is a bit darker, but not much. They're both obviously still very pale colours. So I think with glass, when you're talking about glass, you sort of tend to use like pale blues, pale greys, stuff like that, and obviously depending on what's around it or what's next to it, it'll be reflecting off that. So if it was next to something that was yellow, then we'd put some yellow bits in there, or I would anyway. So I'm no expert. I'm just, this is like one of my favourite things to do, and I do it often. I'm just sort of going on instinct, which is something that I do often in crafting. Just sort of thinking, okay, lines, areas, you know, this is obviously a very angular object. Let's put some colour around the lines. I guess that's kind of what I'm thinking. I don't know if that's the correct way to do it, but that is just kind of what feels right for me. And I think that's all it needs. So I will be back in a moment with the finished cards. Hello again, my lovelies, and here we go, the completed cards. So we've actually ended up with 6 because one of them, I got a smudge on the back of one and I thought you could see it on the front, but it turned out you couldn't, so I ended up making another card. So I initially planned to do 4 and then thought that's too little, so I'll do 5, and then I ended up having an extra one, so we've got 6. And I must say I'm really pleased with the way these have turned out. And what I did is I just went through my stash and found some quite generic stamps that I like. So we've got 2 with hello, 2 with grateful for all, 1 with grateful for all you do, to you from me with love, and then we've got 2 with happiness grows with love and care. I coloured them up really simply with my Copics, which you saw me doing on the first one, which I think is that one or that one. And then I trimmed the panels down and went through my stash of patterned paper and rediscovered that I had lots of lovely patterned paper that I've forgotten about. So I just trimmed the panels down a tad smaller than 4 inches wide and 5 something at the top. So yeah, but you know what I mean, those sort of measurements where sometimes I just eyeball it, to be honest, and just do it so that there's enough of a border so that you get to see the nice pretty paper underneath. And then I simply finished them off using these enamel dots from Ultanu, which came in a craft kit that I got. So here we go, 6 cards that are all very similar, but different, and I think they'll go perfectly in a note card set. So what I'll do after this, I won't show this on camera, but this is my intention, is to just make a box that will fit 6 cards and 6 envelopes nicely, and then that'll be a nice birthday present or Christmas present for someone. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video. As always, feel free to leave me any questions or comments or anything in the comment section below. Has this inspired you to make a set of note cards? Is making a set of note cards something that you do quite often, and do you find that people like that? It'd be great to hear any thoughts that you've got. So that's all from me today. As always, take care of yourselves and each other, and I'll see you again in a couple of days with another crafty goodness type video. So bye for now.